Welcome, everyone, to the April 18th, 2022 regular Board of Aldermen meeting. Would everybody please join with me in saying the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
Alderman Plufka, absent. Alderwoman Tice.
Here.
Alderwoman Sims.
Here.
Alderman Weggie.
Here.
Alderman Gould.
Here.
Alderman Lockmiller.
Here.
Alderwoman O'Neill, absent. Alderman Shelton.
Here.
6 of the 8 members are present.
Thank you. Next on the agenda is the approval or amendment of the agenda. Are there any changes? Alderman Lockmiller.
I'd like to add under item 4B with the appointments, the election of a new president of the Board of Aldermen.
Okay. Do we need to make that by motion? Can we just go ahead and add that, Mr. City Attorney? Okay, that will be so added. Any other changes? Any objection to approving the same with the amendment by acclamation? Seeing none, it will be so approved. Thank you. That brings us to item 4, which is the reason why I think the vast majority of you here tonight, and that is the Police Department recognition for Officers of the Month and Officer of the Year 2021. Chief, Major.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to recognize our officers. Just a quick explanation of the program. Throughout the course of the year, officers are nominated monthly for deeds that they do during the month. They aren't always super police work deeds. Sometimes they're community related and other events that catch people's attention. So we like to point those out. We memorialize them in our Officer of the Month program. So there'll be a few of them presented today. Angie's going to read the few that we have this evening. And Jim Baker, come on, James. You're up, Angela. Okay. I also like to point out that it culminates in an Officer of the Year award, which we will be giving out tonight as well.
Okay, if all the officers being recognized can come up. Just stand right over here to the right, please. Yay! And then if you can just modestly raise your hand when I'm talking about you, that'd be great. The first officer we're going to recognize this evening is Vince Mullen, and he won our Officer of the Month for April of 2021. He conducted a traffic stop which led to the location and arrest of a suspect wanted for several violent felonies to include rape, sodomy, and assault. He also completed a total of 39 traffic stops during the month of April. Officer Mullen. Next is Officer Tim Mueller, who was awarded Officer of the Month for June of 2021. He led the department in traffic-related enforcement with more than 40 traffic stops during the month, and 2 of those led to 2 felony arrests. Officer Tim Mueller. For August of 2021, Corporal Nick Lang. In August, Corporal Lang responded to a drowning call at the Brentwood Place apartment pool where he located the victim on the pool deck, receiving CPR from a civilian. Corporal Lang took over CPR and rescue breathing until Brentwood Fire Department arrived and took over life-saving efforts. Corporal Lang then transported both juvenile siblings to the hospital where he was advised the victim had regained a pulse. Corporal Lang was also awarded our department's life-saving award for his heroic efforts. Corporal Lang. The next month, we had 3 nominees and 3 awardees, which is always an interesting dynamic. Todd Lammert, Corporal Lammert couldn't be with us tonight. He's feeling ill. But with us are Vince Mullen and TJ Lockenecht, who were the award winners for December of 2021. They responded to a call for a suicidal person on the top level of a parking garage. They made contact with the subject, built rapport with them, and were able to distract him long enough to create an opportunity to tackle him to the ground before he was able to jump off of the garage. Officers Mullen and Lockenecht. Officer, excuse me, Officer Seth Mundorf wasn't able to make it here today. He was elected as March Officer of the Month, and I'll read that briefly because it's a pretty good one. He overheard a radio assignment go out for a theft in progress at our Deerbergs, and the suspects matched the description of a robbery suspect from the same Deerbergs that he had had just several days prior. He and Detective Bone actually responded to the area, located the suspect vehicle, and ended up pursuing them into St. Louis City, where it crashed, but both suspects were taken into custody and the weapon used in the robbery was recovered. So, good for Seth, even though he's not here. Now on to our very prestigious Officer of the Year, Alex Wilcox, who also won for January of 2001 and for November of 2021, and was awarded 2021 Overall Officer of the Year. Officer Wilcox led the department in traffic-related enforcement with more than 100 traffic stops in the month of January alone. He was selected as our Brentwood Police Department Community Response Officer, and he is tasked with traffic enforcement and retail liaison duties with our retail businesses. Officer Wilcox was able to create a positive, communicative working relationship with many of the Brentwood businesses, generated a high volume of reports for retail-related crimes, and generated numerous arrests as a result of his many investigations. His dedication to this role has provided assistance to patrol squads in their daily calls for service in our retail areas and has shown great initiative in making the CRO program a huge success. Everybody, please join me in congratulating Officer of the Year, Alex Wilcox. Thank you all for supporting our officers and all their good work. We do need a group photo right in front of the Brentwood sign, please. Thank you, guys.
Good job.
Okay. Okay. Promise our feelings will not be hurt that everybody left. Didn't want to stick around for the rest of the city business, but with the board's approval, it's been brought to my attention by our city attorney. It might make sense for us to wait till the next meeting to do the election of the president of the Board of Aldermen and the committee appointments when we have all 8 people here. So with that, could I get a motion to that effect?
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. And that brings us to the last item under announcements, and that's Proclamation for Arbor Day. And I will go ahead and read this. Brentwood, City of Warmth, State of Missouri Proclamation in recognition of Arbor Day. Whereas in 1872, J. Sterling Morton proposed to the Nebraska Board of Agriculture that a special day be set aside for the planting of trees. And whereas this holiday called Arbor Day was first observed with the planting of more than 1 million trees in Nebraska, and Arbor Day is now observed throughout the nation and the world. And whereas trees reduce the erosion of our precious topsoil by wind and water, cut heating and cooling costs, moderate the temperature, clean the air, produce oxygen, and provide habitat for wildlife. And whereas trees are a renewable resource giving us paper, wood for our homes, fuel for our fires, and countless other wood products. And whereas trees in our city increase property values, enhance the economic vitality of business areas, and beautify our community. And whereas trees, wherever they are planted, are a source of joy and spiritual renewal. And whereas the city of Brentwood has been recognized as a Tree City USA by the National Arbor Day Foundation and desires to continue its tree planting practices. Now therefore, I, David Dimmitt, do hereby proclaim April 29th, 2022 as Arbor Day in the city of Brentwood and urge all citizens to celebrate Arbor Day and to support efforts to protect our trees and woodlands, and further urge all citizens to plant trees to gladden the heart and promote the well-being of this and future generations. Presented this 18th day of April 2022. That brings us down to item 5, public hearing, which we have none. Citizen comments. Anybody in the public care to address the board? Now is the time to do so. You will be given up to 3 minutes. If you want to, just come to the podium, state your name and address, please. Anybody online? Okay. That brings us down to mayor and alderman reports. I have just, at this point now, I only have one matter, and that is I want to thank Eric Grunfelder for what I think is easily a very successful Alex Cavallini Day at the Recreation Center at the ice rink. For those of you who were not able to attend or read up on this on social media, Alex was generous enough to show up on last Sunday, I believe it was, and I think we had anywhere from, I'd say, 60, 70 participants that showed up, which is a tremendous turnout for something like that. And Alex was gracious enough to spend a lot of hours there. She put on her skates and hit the ice. She talked to a lot of the kids, had a question and answer session, autograph session, photographs. She truly is an ambassador for the sport of women's hockey. And we truly are very fortunate to have somebody like that living in our community. And again, hats off to Eric and his staff for pulling off an absolutely tremendous event. So thank you very much. Alderman Plufka, nothing. Alderwoman Tice.
No report.
Alderwoman Sims.
No report.
Alderman Weggie.
Just like the second, the Alex Cavallini event, my kids were there and we had a great time, so thank you very much. It was a great event.
Alderman Lockmuller.
No report.
Alderman Gould.
No report.
And Alderman Shelton.
No report.
Thank you. That brings us down to item 8, City Administrator Report. We have only one item, the Brentwood Bound Update.
Good evening, Craig Schlitter with Navigate Building Solutions. So I'll be providing the Brentwood Bound update, going through the expenditures since the last Board of Aldermen meeting, starting with construction costs. Total spend was $292,946.50. Next is soft costs. $260,247.57 was spent on legal fees, design fees, project management fees, marketing materials, material testing, and Wi-Fi materials. Going through the categories of funding, there were a couple updates since the last meeting. We received another reimbursement check from Gray Ridge Greenway as part of that partnership. Bowser House paid another month rent, and we were able to reconcile the excess economic development sales tax through 2021. So those numbers were also updated down below. And that's my update.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Craig? Thank you, Craig.
Thank you.
Brings us down to item 9, consent agenda, under which we have a lot of items. Are there any questions about any of these items? Any requests to remove any of these items from the consent agenda? Seeing none, the chair would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Tice.
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims.
Yes.
Alderman Weggie.
Yes.
Alderman Gould.
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller.
Yes.
Alderman Shelton.
Yes.
Motion carries by a vote of 6-0.
Great, thank you. We're down to item 10, old business. First up is Bill number 6380. We had a first reading of this at the prior meeting, so Mr. City Attorney, can we get a second reading of Bill 6380 by title only, please?
Bill number 6380, second reading and consideration for adoption, an ordinance amending section 400.1400 of the Brentwood City Code relating to conditional uses in the urban development district.
Okay. Chair would entertain a motion to perfect Bill 6380 into ordinance form.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on this? Roll call, please.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderman Shelton?
Yes.
Okay. Motion to perfect Bill 6380 into ordinance form passes by a vote of 6-0 and will become ordinance number 2013.
Great, thank you. Congratulations. We'll move on to resolution number 1352. This is a resolution approving a temporary roadway agreement with Fred Luth and Sons associated with MSD Project 11212. I guess I would entertain a motion to approve resolution 1352.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second, and I just want to say, before we get into discussion, I want to congratulate Alderman Weggie for the meeting that was ran on this. When he reached out to me and told me the format that he was going to use, I thought this could be an absolute disaster, but you know, you're the chair and you get to decide how you're going to run those, and I'll just be sure I'm not in the room when you do it. But I think not only did it work, but I think it was more productive than any other way that he could have ran the meeting. So hats off to you for doing that, and hats off to the rest of the committee. So Alderman Weggie?
Yeah, well, thank you for that, and I'd like to thank staff for their willingness. They did all the actual work on that to get ready, had the maps out, and I think they did a great job facilitating that as well. So thank you, Mullen and everybody. I just have one question about the revised agreement and everything. So one thing we talked about at Public Works was that there was some way of saying, you know, that the city would be able to shut down the egress road if for some reason, which I don't foresee, but if for some reason it's not going as expected, and we no longer want it to happen. And looking at the agreement and the resolution, I don't see something that would allow us to do that.
If we wanted to add language to that effect, I would suggest doing so in paragraph numeral 5. Just an additional sentence, either party may terminate this agreement at any time.
So I would make a motion to amend the agreement in paragraph 5 with that either party could terminate this at any point. I guess that would be a vote by the Board of Aldermen if necessary.
Okay, we've got a motion to amend it per the requested language of Alderman Weggie and seconded by Alderman Lockmuller. Any discussion on that motion? Yes.
I guess, so the previous one that we had was, or until such an earlier time as may be determined by the city at sole judgment. Is that captured now in the new language, okay?
And it allows them to say, we don't want to use it anymore.
All right, perfect.
So it would be an additional sentence to what's here.
Alderwoman Tice.
I'm fine with that language. I just want to clarify that if they don't want to use it and it's still there, then our police and fire could still use that even if until, you know, while it's available, assuming it's constructed and while it's available. I wouldn't want that language to preclude our safety personnel from accessing the east side of that road.
I can't imagine they're going to get in and tear it up instantaneously.
Perfect.
Any other discussion? Okay, so we have on the table a motion to amend, which has been seconded, and I don't think we have any further discussion on that motion. Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Okay. Now, so, any further discussion on resolution number 1352 as amended? Alderman Lockmuller.
And I don't know who to direct this to, but I guess I'll direct to you, Bola. As far as the condition of the road now and the pathway they want to use with the dump trucks, is there, I guess through the permitting process, observations taken now and then observations taken later to make sure there isn't any damage to that area?
We should be doing that, Dan. Well, that is his department, yes. We will be doing that.
Okay. And then is there, I guess to Luth, is there a time that this road, this area is always kept clean?
You want to come to the microphone? Thank you.
It would be as any roadway we'd use. It would be basically up to the discretion of not only Public Works, but our on-site superintendent to keep the roadway clean throughout the use of construction and throughout various points of the process, if you will. And to a little bit of that of the pre-construction photos, if you will, I've taken fairly extensive photos to identify any possible damage that may be pre-existing, but either way, our goal is to replace as new anything we disturb. So it's pretty well documented at this point of how the roadway looks, how the pathway looks, things of that nature. So if there's any disagreement anywhere down the line, because in the fact that Public Works will have to approve the final permit, that we need to do anything like this. So we'll be on the same page and make sure everything gets addressed as needed.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, seeing no further discussion, I think we're ready to vote on resolution number 1352. Let's do a roll call, please.
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderman Shelton?
Yes.
Motion carries by 6-0.
Thank you. Brings us down to number 11, new business, under which we have 3 items. The first is Bill number 6382. Mr. City Attorney, can we get a first read of Bill 6382 by title only, please?
Bill number 6382, first reading an ordinance correcting and renumbering a previously approved ordinance that was given the same number through a scrivener's error and matters related thereto.
Thank you. This is pretty straightforward. It's a very simple, it was just a scrivener's error, which I'm sure that means something in the legal world. No.
That roughly translates to oops.
Oops. That was our oops moment. So it's fairly straightforward. We would like to have a second read, first and second tonight, just to get this cleaned up. So with that, I would entertain a motion for a second reading.
So moved. Second.
Okay. Any discussion on that motion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Mr. City Attorney, can we get a second read, please, of 6382?
Bill number 6382, second reading and consideration for adoption. Whoops. An ordinance correcting and renumbering a previously approved ordinance that was given the same number through a scrivener's error and matters related thereto.
Okay, Chair would entertain a motion to perfect Bill number 6382 in ordinance form.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call?
Alderwoman Tice?
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims?
Yes.
Alderman Weggie?
Yes.
Alderman Gould?
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller?
Yes.
Alderman Shelton?
Yes.
Great.
By a vote of 6-0, Bill 6382 will become ordinance 2014.
Thank you. Next item under new business is Bill number 6383. Can we get a first read by title only, please?
Bill number 6383, first reading, an ordinance of the City of Brentwood, Missouri, approving a certain settlement agreement with 3 Dogs LLC, authorizing certain other actions in connection therewith, providing for the effective date of this ordinance, and containing a severability clause.
Thank you. Mr. Murray, are you going to present on this? I am. All right.
Good evening. This is a bill to approve our settlement agreement with 3 Dogs LLC to wrap up our condemnation case with them. It winds up with a payment to them in addition to the Commissioner's award, and we'll resolve the lawsuit.
And just for the viewers at home, if you could identify yourself.
Sure. Mark Murray, Armstrong Teasdale, we're special attorneys to the city. with Brentwood Bound.
Great, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Murray? And we would like to have a second read on this as well tonight, if we could get a motion to that effect.
So moved.
Second.
We got a motion and a second for a second read. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Mr. City Attorney, can we get a second read of Bill number 6383 by title only, please?
Bill number 6383, second reading and consideration for adoption, an ordinance of the City of Brentwood, Missouri, approving a certain settlement agreement with Three Dogs LLC, authorizing certain other actions in connection therewith, providing for the effective date of this ordinance, and containing a severability clause.
Thank you. Can we get a motion to perfect Bill number 6383 in the ordinance form?
So moved.
Second.
Great, thank you. Any discussion? Roll call?
Alderwoman Tice.
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims.
Yes.
Alderman Weggie.
Yes.
Alderman Gould.
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller.
Yes.
Alderman Shelton.
Yes.
By a vote of 6-0, Bill 6383 will become ordinance 2015.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. And that brings us down to the last item under new business, which is Bill number 6384. Can we get a first read of Bill 6384 by title only, please?
Bill number 6384, first reading, an ordinance approving a second supplement to amended and restated trust indenture relating to the city's taxable increment refunding revenue bonds, Series 2007A, 8300 Eager Road Project Phase 1, and taxable tax increment refunding revenue bonds, Series 2007B, 8300 Eager Road Project Phase 2.
Thank you. Mark presenting on this? Mr. Grimm? No? Kevin? Flip a
The
coin?
owners of the tax increment financing bonds previously issued by the city have called upon the city to refinance the bonds in accord with a provision in the 8th amended and restated redevelopment agreement. And in discussions with them, while the city's view is that questions the whether or not the city is fully obligated, the amount of time remaining on the refinancing is negligible, or this is running out in the next 15 months or so. And the litigation costs associated with sorting out this dispute would exceed in any reasonable expectation the amount involved. So the city has agreed to a compromise process of refinancing, which involves obtaining an opinion of market value from the city's market consultant, and the other side has agreed to that, and this ordinance will effectuate that refinancing for the remaining months of the tax increment financing district and the special allocation fund.
Great, thank you. Do we have any questions? We are not doing a second read on this tonight, so we will take this up at the next meeting. But if there are no further questions, then we will move on to item 12, citizen comments. Anybody in the public care to address the board? Now is the time once again to do so. You will be given up to 3 minutes. Seeing none.
Recording stopped.
Well,
Once again, we do have a request to go into closed session.
Recording in progress.
Once again, we have a request to go into closed session. This time only for legal pursuant to RS Mo 610.021 subsection 1. Can we get a motion to that effect?
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? Roll call?
Alderwoman Tice.
Yes.
Alderwoman Sims.
Yes.
Alderman Weggie. Yes. Alderman Gould.
Yes.
Alderman Lockmiller.
Yes.
Alderman Shelton.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Great, thank you. Let's take a quick break and we will reconvene in the conference room. Matt.